Going on, boys and girls, and welcome back to the 85th edition, of the Chronicles of Podcast. I don't know why I did that. I just felt it was relevant and necessary for this week's episode, or edition, shall we say. We prefer the edition. We like that E, not the other E. We prefer editions in this one. Anyway, I've rambled on too much. Jamie, it's the 85th edition of the Chronicles of Podcast, and I do believe, Jamie Westwood, that these are the Chronicles of Erik Betts.
Oh, you damn skippy boy they are.
This is an absolute douzoir, as they say in France. So I do believe that we should hit it.
Hey, honey bunny, it's Rivka Reyes.
This is Ron Wasserman, the nut that wrote Go-Go Power Rangers.
It's Boba Fett here.
This is Molly Rennick from Living Dead Girl.
It's WWE superstar, legend, Davey Boy Smith's daughter, Georgia Smith.
Hi, my name's Erik Betts. I'm an actor, stuntman, and, well, a dad. And you're listening to the Chronicles Podcast with Tom and Jamie.
This is going to be a harpoon shot this door. You're going to grab hold of that door. I'm going to send you into the air, and you're going to land on the car door. This is a great idea. It'll be fine.
Ladies and gentlemen, join us as we bring you the Chronicles of Erik Betts.
And now, I think it's time to bring in that piece of resistance.
Oh, it's definitely time to bring in this piece of resistance.
Welcome to the Chronicles of Erik Betts.
Who is this?
Afternoon. I was wondering if you had any interest in home repairs.
Lower level near the fountain.
Crew in your neighborhood who'd be happy to stop by.
Erik Betts is an actor, dancer, singer, but most famously known as a stunt performer. He invented his own style of martial arts for the screen in Hollywood Kung Fu. This is absolutely incredible. This is genuinely up there with one of the best interviews we have ever done.
No, to the words right out of my mouth, I was going to say, this is, for me personally, is definitely one of my favourites we've ever done. This was a massively inspiring, hilarious, wonderful, humble, down-to-earth conversation we've ever had. I also just want to give a massive shout out to Eric's mum. I hope you're recovering. I hope you're doing well. I hope everything's okay. We interviewed Erik. His mum had just had minor surgery. So that's why he is in his car. But yeah, bless him. He came back to finish the interview off. And I've been so since we interviewed him, I've been so excited to release this one.
Yeah. We like to keep things fair. We release them in the order we record them. This was a fucking challenge to do that because we really just wanted to get this one out there because it is phenomenal. Like Tom said, Erik had to go at one point. You know, his mom came out of hospital and he was gracious enough to turn around and go, give me a couple of hours, I'll come back. So you might notice a little jump. Hopefully my editing skills mean you don't notice a little jump, but you might notice a jump because he literally comes back and we just keep going. It's a fantastic interview. It might be a little bit long, but by God, is it worth it? Oh, I love this one.
For fans of Jason David Frank as well, you will get some stories in here that will hopefully touch you in all the right places.
Yeah.
Jamie!
Yes, sir.
Any final words at all?
Just a massive thank you to our wonderful guest. What an incredible career he has had, and we are so excited for you to share this, to listen to this one.
Erik, thank you so much for taking the time out of your very busy schedule. We really appreciate it, especially, with your mum being in hospital at the time. So it means the world, man. And excited to catch up with you again in the future and excited for people to hear this one. Because, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, interviewing this week, it's Erik Betts.
Wonderful. First off, thank you so much for doing this, Erik. It means the absolute world. Really appreciate it.
No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. This is fun.
Normally, I just do a little introduction, and then, as my co-host likes to say, we just bombard the living hell out of you with questions. How does that sound?
I love it.
That's what we like. Wonderful. Let's get going.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this week we bring you another amazing guest with another amazing story for you to enjoy. This week's guest is an actor, a stunt performer who has some of the most amazing accolades you will ever hear. He trained Will Smith how to fight. Sorry, Chris Rock. He won American Gladiators. He appeared in dozens of hit shows like Power Rangers, Buffy 24, and so much more. He's the Grand Master of Hollywood Kung Fu. Ladies and gentlemen, join us as we bring you the Chronicles of Erik Betts.
You're on mute, Eric.
There he is.
Can you guys hear me okay?
There you go.
Yeah. I suppose first things first, Eric, is how was the last few years been for you with the pandemic and everything? I know it's kind of still a thing, but
That's a really interesting question. It was very tricky. Obviously it's hard to shoot a movie when you can't go out and shoot the movie. So a lot of people were getting very creative. There were a lot of really fun and amazing things people did with Zoom and Yak, I think was the other one they were using. Where they would kind of do like a Zoom call we're doing here, and they shot an entire little feature doing Zooms. And so it was really cool. Like someone would punch the camera, and then the next shot is them reacting to that punch, and then they get back up and they come running again, and then they kick, and then the next person, and they just passed it down. And it was really cool, man. So I had fun watching people doing that, but it was tricky. There were a lot of I've always wondered why auditions were never done like this. Instead of us having to jump in our cars and drive 20 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes for 2 seconds of going on camera and saying, "Hi, my name's Erik Betts," and then all right, thank you. And you're like, I just drove through all that traffic for that, So tricky in that sense, but a good opportunity to get a lot done. So I used that time personally to start creating content and learning how to write shows, learning how to create TV shows, and learning how to write episodes. And I mean, just a lot of learning, a lot of studying.
That's awesome. Like that, it's great though. It's one of my favorite things to hear when we do this show is people that use that time productively, because it was a terrible time. Let's not deny it. But people like using that time to productively to learn new things and improve on themselves. I absolutely love hearing those sort of stories. It's great to hear one of those.
Fun, man. It's fun. We're about to get another mandatory class. The Writers Guild is about to have a strike in May.
Oh,
is it?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Damn.
Yeah, so I'll be back in school again.
What are you gonna
it's not a class I signed up for, but apparently I'm going back to school. Yeah.
So take us back to the days of young Master Betts. And what did you want to be when you were growing up? Because you've done so many different things. It's really hard to work out.
It's funny that you say that right now, because in 6th grade, I always talk about this. In 6th grade, back east in Boston, a school teacher gave everyone a piece of paper and said, write down what you want to be when you grow up. And I wrote one thing, and then I wrote more, and there more and more. And I had this whole long list of things. And she was reading each person off, and as she read mine, she goes, "Okay, that's really good, Eric, but which one? You can't be them all." And as of about 4 years, maybe 5 years ago now, I've now been all of them. And so I always remembered that moment with this teacher, because God forbid I ever believed her, but thank God I didn't, and just kind of was kind of a blank sheet where the idea of what I wanted to be was kind of a pretty broad spectrum. And so starting out, I grew up in a single family household, so couldn't afford a lot, bounced around in different households with my aunt and my cousin and my aunt and uncle and cousins and my grandmother, and then with my mom. And so dad was out of the picture, and so I'm bouncing around. Mom's struggling because she was an entertainment person trying to pursue a music career at first. Then she put all that to the side because it wasn't feeding any of us, and got a real job. And in the meantime, while she was getting herself established, I was living with other family members and getting kind of learning how to reinvent myself in that way. It's ironic that that type of a lifestyle actually prepared me for Hollywood, because in Hollywood, you go from career to career. You go from working at permanent temp placement agencies. You're jumping around. You're never really stable. If you ask most actors how much money do they make a year, they have no idea, because basically your salary is based on how many jobs did you book this year. Oh, there was a strike. That's too bad. Oh, there was, a pandemic. That's going to be hard for you. Oh, you've got to qualify for health insurance every year. How are you going to qualify now when you can't work for 36 weeks? And so there's all these things that people don't know about that we're struggling every year that a lot of people take for granted. And so, like, for health insurance for my family, I have to qualify for that every single year. And if there's a pandemic, that's kind of a bit of a problem. Fortunately, we have residuals, which means money that comes in from previous jobs we've worked, and that happened to carry over and meet the qualifications. And so we were able to be carried over, but it was pretty tight. And so with my grandmother, she used to take me to different martial arts theaters. There was a martial art theater in Boston called the Pagoda. And for $2 or $3, I think it's $2. For $2, you could see 3 kung fu movies. And so I would watch like The Kid with the Golden Arms, or Five Deadly Venoms, or Master Killer, or 36 Chambers, and all these other movies. And so I grew up watching kung fu theater. I grew up watching Creature Double Feature, and my mom would take me to different gymnastic facilities. And although we couldn't afford to take the classes, I would watch the class, and that's how I learned gymnastics. That's how I learned martial arts.
I was going to say, because you're self-taught, aren't you? That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just watch you go, oh, that's how they do it. And then just do it and like, oh, what the heck? What?
And that's where the scars come from.
I read
didn't go so well a couple times there.
I read that your grandmother took you to ballet for a little bit.
She did. She went. I went to. Oddly enough, I was super uncoordinated. I had no spatial awareness of any kind at all. I was the world's biggest klutz, and a lot of people don't know I was born legally blind in both eyes, and so to get a better sense of myself, she put me at a school called Emma Lewis School of Fine Arts, which was a very prestigious ballet school in Boston, and they kind of beat me into shape, I guess.
No, that's awesome, because surely that would help with obviously learn the gymnastics and the kung fu, like that actually all intertwines quite nicely.
Yeah, center of balance, all that, absolutely.
Yeah, awesome.
So I was reading on your website, you're saying there you're watching people, and it says, hey, like you were going doing free trials from all these different sorts of martial arts classes. I suppose that studying all those different types must have gave you such a unique approach to it, though, as you progressed, instead of just this one style in your mind.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't think about it that way at the time. I remember thinking there's, it's like writing your signature. There's different ways you can print it. You can do calligraphy. You could do, regular freehand. I mean, there's all these different ways of writing it. And so I kind of thought of movement in that same aspect. It wasn't like I thought that I was Bruce Lee creating a new style. It was more like if once I in a lot of ways, ironically enough, it was more like almost I related more to Jackie Chan in the sense that if one style is not working, you simply go to the next. And so, it's interesting. That's a really interesting question, because I definitely was not aware of looking at it that way at the time.
I suppose it's these things you just pick up on over the years, don't you? Like, oh, that's where I saw that, and I saw that there.
Yeah. It's like being a little a lint roller. I was just trying to accumulate. I was just trying to accumulate as much as I possibly could, man. Just keep gathering, and I'll figure it out later.
That is the best metaphor ever. That is fantastic.
Also, your teacher is mental for asking you at 6 years old what you want to be. People at 16, 20, 30 don't know what they want to do with their lives.
Isn't that something? And my son's 20 right now, and I think it's ridiculous to expect a 20-year-old to know what they want to do for the rest of their life. I mean, even now, as we have various stages in our lives where we reinvent ourselves, and I'm at that stage where I'm in the process of reinvention. I cannot imagine. I happen to have been blessed enough to figure that out, I suppose, early. But I think the way a lot of people figure it out is either you innately know who and what you are and what your passions are and your obsessions are, and you just are drawn to that, or believe it or not, some severe sort of trauma happens in your life that moves you in a direction, um, and you find safety in it, and you enjoy being recognized. A lot of people in my situation, I was super shy, and it was nice. I felt confident. It gave me confidence. It gave me strength. It gave me character. People went, ooh, ah, you like the reactions you're getting, and it made you want to do more. And so it really built your self-esteem up. And it was like, hey, you took pride in the fact that this was something you were good at. And then on top of it, I was a huge nerd. So now I'm moving and acting like my comic book heroes. And so that was kind of cool, because then you're like, maybe I do have powers, you know? And so it was fun. It was fun. It was cool.
So was that your original intention to just study martial arts, or was getting into the world of TV and stunts like where you always wanted to go?
It was all about, the Amazing Spider-Man comic. One of the comics that I had, because I was an avid comic collector. My mother would take me around to different comic stores in Boston and Cambridge. And one of the comics had an image of Spider-Man starting on one side of the comic and jumping to the other side and jumping to this side and then coming straight towards the front of the camera. And there's all these flips he was doing to get from place to place. And I just thought that was the coolest thing. And I was trying to imagine, like, how would he do that? And I'm rolling on the ground trying to figure it out. And, and you just go, that's so cool. And that comic was the #1 comic that got me kind of obsessed with interpreting movement and what I see when I'm looking at the fingers and how he holds his hands or how he touches, and like, what's it say about how he feels about what he's doing. And then I started looking at that and transitioning that from still frames to motion picture, and you start watching kung fu movies again, like Five Deadly Venoms. Ironically enough, the words are Five Deadly Venoms, no different than 5 Power Rangers. Each one has their own style. Each one is Centipede and Snake, and one's and they're doing their form, and there's someone else. So I literally, you are what you eat, man. And I consumed nothing but Creature Double Feature, Megazords. I watched Inframan. I watched Ultraman. I grew up watching all these things. Kung Fu Theater, Five Deadly Venom. I became the very thing I was obsessed with.
That's amazing. That's chasing your dreams, kids. That's awesome. I fucking love that. But you were also a singer at one point, wasn't you? Because I read you appeared on Star Search or something like that. Remember
I told you my mom was a singer, and so that's where that influence came from. I tell people all the time, my mom is the reason I got into the entertainment business in a lot of ways, because she was always in entertainment. I know my mom to always be singing on a stage and in front of people. So the transition into music, I believe kids will often gravitate in the direction of their parents because their parents kind of open the doors to show you what is and isn't possible. And doing entertainment, singing in front of a crowd, that wasn't something outside of my comfort zone or paradigm shift, because I watched my parent do that. So yeah, that's how that happened. And ironically enough, there used to be a advertising publication called Dramalog. Dramalog was where all actors used to go to get their information before the internet, kids. And so you'd have to go to the Backstage West and Variety magazines and stuff like that at a newsstand, and you get your paper out and you go sit down at Starbucks and you circle, or at Dunkin' Donuts in my case, and you sit down and circle all the places you want to go audition, and then you'd put a headshot or resume in an envelope. You'd have to lick it and put a stamp on it and send it out. And so one of the auditions was for a music group, and I ended up going to the audition. I booked the audition, and I ended up meeting a guy there who happens to later, 2 months later, become the Black Ranger for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Walter Jones and I were in a music group together, and we ended up doing Star Search in 1992 with people like Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake, Dave Chappelle, and Beth Hart, and one of the young girls group at the time was called Girls Time, that later became Destiny's Child and ultimately Beyonce.
Bloody hell. Just a couple of names people might have heard of.
Crazy, right? All the same time we auditioned, and all the same time our show in 1992 came out, and it was crazy because the person who put our group together, our group was called Five is a Jam. And I kept dealing with the number 5 at the time. So you've got 5 now, and we're flipping in, and we're wearing uniforms and costumes, boy band look, and I kept thinking, this is really interesting. I keep getting 5s, 5s, 5s. And so, we ended up pursuing that avenue for a moment. The manager who put this whole thing together was a former manager of the Jackson 5 way back in the day, and he always wanted to do a group of his own, and so he put us together, got us a performance or an opportunity to audition for Star Search, which for those of you listening, I guess it would be America's Got Talent, The Voice, something like that. And yeah, it took off. We ended up losing, but just for the record, I realized something recently. Beyonce and her group got 3.5 stars, and we got 3.75 stars. It's the one time in my life I can say I outsang Beyonce.
Yes. Who runs the world? Erik.
we both lost to a group called Skeleton Crew, but whatever. Hey, if anybody ever finds my audition or my performance, I would love someone to post it. I can't find the actual aired episode. It aired November 14th, 1992, and I cannot find it to save my life.
Oh, I'm writing that down.
It's nuts, man. It's nuts. I cannot find it. And the irony is, I was so embarrassed at doing the show because I remember in the middle of my performance, I'm singing. The guy wanted us to sing "I Want You Back" by the Jackson 5, and I remember looking at the audience, and in one moment, I remember thinking, "I'm an idiot." Like I literally heard "I'm an idiot" in my head really loud in the middle of the song for singing this thing, and it almost made me choke. And then 2 days later, I think it was a Sunday at that point, the Jackson Story, The American Dream came on NBC. It was like a 4-part miniseries, and the first song that was being played was the song we sang at Star Search. And I remember thinking, Michael must be rolling his head like, what was that idiot doing? Oh man, this is hard.
So
yeah,
how did you go from doing that to getting your foot into the world of acting and stunting? Because don't you say you were self-taught? There was no school or teacher to push you in the right direction.
Yeah, that's a great question. And a really a difficult thing, not to answer, but to inspire, I suppose. You have to go after your dream like you're insane, and they say the definition of insanity is to do the same thing over and over again expecting a different reaction. But the irony is, like a bodybuilder, you keep doing the same thing, which is you're breaking your body down, and then as it heals, a new fiber forms, and you break that down, and then a new fiber forms. And so that process called mitosis is what's happening to your confidence. It's what's happening to your opportunities. And as you continue to be insane about how many times you hear no, and instead of expecting, to hear anything different, you're simply enjoying the experience of what you're doing. Every time you get an opportunity to do it, that's the new movie, that's the TV show, that's the dream. You're living the dream. Literally pursuing it is almost more the dream and achieving the dream than actually having it. And so by not having anyone around me, here was my unit of measurement. If I flipped and I didn't break my behind, I did it right. If I flipped and everyone went, ooh, I did it right. If I flipped and again, when it's consistent, when you consistently don't break your behind, then you're doing great. But now you need a new bar. Now everyone goes, oh my God, I've never seen anything like that. Now that's the new bar. Okay, cool. Now everyone's doing that. Now the new bar is, can I teach it to someone else? Now the new bar is, can that someone else safely do it without them having injuries? Now does everyone go, ooh, when they do it, and so on and so forth. And so that became my unit of measurement for knowing if I was doing it right. The real irony in my life is I got to train a lot of different people and work with a lot of different people, but two of the major ones in my world in life were, and remember again, self-taught gymnast, self-taught martial artist, is getting an opportunity to work with 1992 Olympic gold medalist Herb Perez and helping teach him film fighting. I can't even say martial arts because obviously he won gold. But to sit there and teach him how to not kill anyone, and film fighting is so different. It's so different, and he's so trained and such an incredible, working on WMAC Masters, you get a chance to work with absolutely some of the best martial artists in the freaking world. And here you are, a self-taught gymnast and martial artist who, in a lot of ways, has doubts about what you do. But then on the flip side, everything that it's almost like, there's more than one way to skin a chicken. That's all I can describe it to you. And I learned early on that I can trust and I can believe that what I've learned is actually useful, functional, and that I can read the person across from me in a way where I can compete with them. And so working with Herb Perez was one for the martial arts, and for the gymnastics, I got to train and choreograph for Carrie Strug, who was a young lady who, if you recall, in gymnastics for the Olympic team, ran on a broken leg, did a vault, and landed on a broken leg. And so everyone knows when she's standing on one foot, arms up, and then she drops to the ground, and Bella Caroli comes out and picks her up and carries her out, and she won the gold for the American team. And so getting a chance to work with in both of those worlds, martial arts and gymnastics, two major iconic gold medalists, that kind of sealed the deal as to whether or not you know what you're doing or not.
That must blow your mind, knowing that because that's incredible.
Humbling.
I can't even begin to imagine. You're the sole, you're the reason for that. It's I can't even put it into words.
Yeah, it's weird. It is weird. As I get old, I didn't think about it the way I don't know. It's humbling for sure. I can remember thinking, if you think too much about it, you psych yourself out. If you don't think about it and you just do what you do and stay true to who you are and stay humble, you have something useful to offer. It's the little kid in you keeps going, oh my God, but they're who they are and you're nothing. Like there's that inner voice that speaks to you that goes, who am I that I'm supposed to help you? I don't know what I'm doing compared to you, But when I came to this town from Boston, I ended up teaching at gymnastics at a place called LA Valley College. And on Tuesday and Friday nights, they had an open gymnastics facility from 7 to 10 o'clock for $2. So it was right up my alley because I was broke. And so, it made it very easy. But at the same time, I was training a lot of different people. So I was training cheerleaders, dancers, martial artists, actors. I didn't realize the majority of the people I was also training were stunt people. And so I ended up getting a call. A friend, one of the people I was helping was a 21 bronze medalist. She had an audition for a commercial and she needed to learn how to run up a wall and do a backflip. And they don't do that. And so she kept trying to run up and punch off the wall like it's a spring floor, and she just couldn't figure it out, and she was almost killing herself. So taught her how to be sloppy and messy and self-taught and do it the way we do it on the cement in the city, And I suppose long story short is that when I get to this audition that she asked me, would I come down and spot her down there? They were looking for 10 Olympic gold medalists. So I'm in awe of just the room and the things that they're doing to warm up. And, and I can't believe I'm in this circle right now. And after she was done with her audition, she said, would you mind if my spotter, my coach auditions? And I'm like, be quiet. What are you doing? I can't compete with this, And so instead of letting my mouth and that inner voice shut me down, I just simply said, these people are amazing. I'm not in their league. I can't do what they do. I can show you what I do, and just do what I do. Stay true to me. And so I just went out there and just did my normal workout and did the moves I do. And they ended up hiring only me. They didn't hire all 10 of them. And I ended up giving my friend my 10%. I got an agent out of it. I got a SAG card out of it. I got residuals out of it. All this stuff happened from that one person opening that door and giving me a chance. It was pretty cool. Her name was Svetla. Really cool. Very cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
I bet she was kicking herself after. She's like, why did I give him the audition? Now I missed out on a damn job.
No, you know, and she's just that kind of person. Though. She was the kind of person who believed you can share it, you can put it out there, share it. There's enough out there for all of us, and when you put it out correctly, it comes back tenfold. Svetla has passed on since then. She actually ended up having a brain tumor, but I keep her so alive in my stories. My son would be able to tell you that her name in a heartbeat, because it's just the gratitude of the people who help bring you up. It takes a village, man, and she was part of that village.
I'm so sorry. That is awful, but yeah, that is incredible.
Yeah,
it's like
it's awesome.
But you got to live out like every 90s kid's dream by being the Red and the Green Ranger on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Now, I always wanted to be Blue. I was always Billy. Always. I just loved him. I love like an underdog sort of thing. Like I still love. I haven't watched the 30th anniversary yet, but I'm going to because he's in it, and I just can't wait. But
and talk about looks amazing. The guy looks freaking amazing, man. Billy looks crazy. He looks great. I said
Unreal.
Billy. David Yost. You got me saying Billy.
David Yost. Yeah.
Sorry, David.
Like how because obviously you said you were in a group with Walter Jones, and obviously he's now the Black Ranger as well. So how did that even come about?
The group or Power Rangers?
Power Rangers.
All right. So wow. I did my first movie in California was a movie called Shoot Fighter, and in this movie, I was acting. I was playing like one of the first 10 or 12 credits on the screen, and I played the champion of the shoot fighting ring, and some of the other actors that were in there, one of them ended up being the stunt coordinator for Power Rangers, and one of the other people in there also ended up playing some other roles and stuff on another TV show I would ultimately end up being in. And so it's ironic, but basically everybody pulls from the same stream of like the clunk of films. So if you're in a bunch of low budget B movie films, you'll probably be working with these fellas again anytime soon. And so after we did Power Rangers, Walter called me up and said, "Hey man, they're looking for someone to train the actors on acrobatics and film fighting and stuff." And so I put your name in there, and then I go, "Thanks, man." And then I found out that one of the guys I worked with, who was the stunt coordinator of Power Rangers, but he wasn't when we did Shoot Fighter. Okay. And so he got hired by Power Rangers to now be the coordinator. He went, "Oh, I know Eric." And so they called me in, and I started training the cast and on acrobatics and film fighting with him. And from there, I ended up playing one of the putty patrollers and the bad guys. And then they were like, whoa, the bad guys are moving too good and they look better than the heroes. And so would you be willing to play the Red Ranger? And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be cool. And that's especially coming from a fan of that genre of film, especially Ultraman and Inframan. Inframan was so freaking huge with me that when I saw the Red Ranger costume, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like I talk about full circle. And speaking of full circle, in maybe 1988, I saw you remember MTV had I Love My MTV. They had the MTV videos and stuff like that used to come on.
Yeah.
It's 1,000 years ago. But the idea is there used to be something on Friday nights called Friday Night Videos, and they would show a music video, and then they would do these little snippets in between the videos. And one of them, I saw a red guy inside something. I didn't know what he was in, and he went like this and did something with his hands, and and he was wearing his hell. And I was like, wait, what was that? That was Power Rangers in 1988 that I got to see, and it was on this Friday night video clip. They just put some random thing in there, and I'll never forget it, man. And it was like foreshadowing my future. And sure enough, so I ended up doing Red Ranger, and then playing a little acting spot with Bulk and Skull as one of the punks on Power Rangers, and choreographing, and what else? And then ultimately playing the Green Ranger when they introduced him, and then playing some of the other creatures. I was the only American who played Babu, which was this blue guy on the bad guy. Yeah, and then I did a scene with Goldar, and where they're trying to get back the coins. The Red Ranger and Green Ranger are trying to take their coin back, and then of course Pudgy Pig. Yeah,
my daughter's favorite monster, Pudgy Pig, is. Like, the amount of times she watched Power Rangers, she's like, "Can we watch Food Fight?" She loves the Pudgy Pig. But you mentioned then working as a Green Ranger. I was Tommy. Tom was Billy. I was Tommy all the way. Obviously, we lost Jason David Frank not that long ago. Do you have any fond memories of working with Jason?
Do I have fun? The list goes on and on and on. I suppose the first list would be day one. Day one. I think, there's if you've ever watched the opening scene of Superstar with Molly Shannon, she puts her arms in her hands under her armpits and smells her fingers, and this really quirky Saturday Night Live character. That would be Jason David Frank. We're on set, and all of a sudden some guy comes running up. "What's going on, everybody? Hey, how you doing? It's so awesome. I'm so excited to be here. Ooze, ooze, ooze." Oh. You're like, who the heck is this guy, man? Like, I don't even know what to do with him. Like, there's so much energy just being blasted at me right now. And you're like, you're smiling and you're confused and you're looking for being pranked. And you're like, what is going on? And this guy's just like, his energy level stayed there. Who he was when you saw, if what I just described sounds like anything anyone's ever experienced with Jason David Frank, that is who he was from beginning to middle to end. He never stopped being the most passionate, the most fun, the most wild, out of control, couldn't stop him, never needed a stunt double ever. My God, he could have absolutely in his sleep done all his own stunts. If anything, bottling him up and asking him to be small was the hardest thing in his entire life. The irony is, I used to work with his instructor, which was Chris Casamassa. Chris played what the heck is Scorpion in Mortal Kombat. Chris and I did Shoot Fighter together, and that's Jason's sensei. That's who taught Jason martial arts. And so Jason continued on with Chris's school. Chris's school is Red Dragon. That's what Jason David Frank ran off to do. And so when we did my TV series WMAC Masters, Chris Casamassa was Red Dragon, and he picked up what his father did, Chris Casamassa Sr., who passed away this year, unfortunately, and who founded Red Dragon. And so it's an amazing legacy, man, of how it's just passed down. So when we got to work together, Jason was like, "Dude, I love your name. I can't believe you spell it just like my brother. My brother spells it with a K." And he's always telling me stories about his brother before his brother ended up passing away. And so I was just like blown away by I knew how tight they were. I knew how proud that Jason was of his brother and how much he loved his brother. And a lot changed for Jason story-wise, as you asked about, is there any stories that stick out? Jason, his energy, it's not just his energy. There was a light in his eye that changed. Like, you look in his eyes and something was definitely not there. And so that was hard. That was really hard to see him going through all that. And then I read an article from 2014 that said he was just going through a lot and had considered taking his life before he booked Power Rangers, and that Power Rangers had saved his life. So it really kind of bothered me to know that this guy I've known for 30 years, 32 years, that he was just going through all that, that he was going through that. And what you bang yourself in the head constantly going, did I miss something? Was there something I could have said or done? And like, did I do enough? And it's all that. So I can't, my condolences go out big time to the family. I still can't even believe it. My birthday was November 22nd, and I usually, it was supposed to be kind of a big birthday. And for me, instead, it was more like I just kept like going blah, 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 because I still couldn't believe, like, Jason's gone, man. Like, my brain's like, how How? So yeah, that was crazy. But I'll tell you what, man, the guy left an insane legacy of Jesus never tapped, and he loved his kids more than any father you can imagine. I mean, if I had to compare him to any parent, the way he talked about his kids and doted and loved all over his kids, I would say the fictional character of Michael Landon on Little House on the Prairie. Like, this guy just loved his kids, man, every fiber of his body. And so that's what was really the hardest for me, because I've got a big heart for kids, and to know they lost their dad, man, that was just like, jeez.
Yes.
It's a lot to go through, man. It's a lot that everyone's out there going through. And so I really hope that people know, Erik Betts Media, look me up if you need. My ear will always be open. I want to make sure that I talk about, mental health and suicide prevention, and that people understand the stigma. I feel this country and the world puts a stigma on mental health that's so retarded. Have any of you ever sprained an ankle before? Have you ever broke a pinky or broke a nail? Oh my God, you broke a nail. You're taking, you've got a Band-Aid on. Oh my God, what's wrong with you? Like, now we put a stigma on this person. They've got a Band-Aid on. Mental health has variable degrees, and so you can injure yourself. The reason we break a bone in our body and our brain flips out is to tell us, hey, there's something wrong with you. Don't push it. But if you don't know with mental health what degree of injury you've acquired, you don't know, like, if you're pushing it too far. You don't know. And of course, if I had a broken arm and I'm trying to move a refrigerator, I'm probably causing more damage. We don't have that for mental health. And so I when you bundle it all together and make it out like everyone with a broken nail is the same as somebody with a broken brain, I mean, come on, man. It's just like, it bothers me.
No,
okay, you guys just saw me having a little private issue here. There you go. And you mentioned one more thing. You did mention the whole you mentioned the Will Smith thing. But for me, that was watching again mental health. We watched someone having a mental health break. Like, that's what that was. And so it's hard to, it's not an excuse to say it's okay. But is it okay when you scream out and you punch somebody, if they come over and go, oh my God, let me help you, and they move your leg? Like, it's like he's flipping out. It broke. He snapped.
Like, no, he did.
He just snapped. There's no more sense anymore. There's no more logic. There's no more reason. He's now the missing link. You might as well just call him Lucy. He's lost his ability to communicate, and he's just striking out. He's lashing out. Wow, this went in a whole different direction, huh?
It did slightly, yeah. We went from Pudgy Pig to Will Smith having a mental breakdown. Right?
I mean, I'm just, it's rubbish that obviously we lost Jason, and I thank you so much for sharing. Like, we really appreciate it massively. Obviously, you didn't have to go down that that far into it and that sort of thing, but he's a legend, and he always will be. He'll always be I've seen videos on TikTok and on YouTube of him like meeting fans. He's like losing his mind and loving it and that sort of thing. And it's it was just lovely to hear those stories.
Yeah, no, biggest heart in the world, man. Biggest heart in the world. Super passionate, and I've never seen anybody who loves their fans more. Like, no one. This guy was awesome. He was awesome.
Yeah, absolute hero. Thank you, Jason.
Yeah.
But in the stunt world, you mentioned that obviously it's basically who you know. But have you ever had to audition for anything, movie or TV wise?
Always. I started, as I said, a shoot fighter as an actor. Joined SAG as an actor, because you can join as an actor or a stunt person. I've been bouncing back and forth between both worlds. I have an action figure doll with my name on it. From WMAC Masters, the same toy company that made Power Rangers, Bandai, made action figures of my character. Again, a funny story. All the shows I grew up watching, Ultraman, Inframan, all those things I just told you about, all of those were Bandai. Grandizer, Bandai. So talk about a kid who grew up having a dream in a world where he was nowhere near Hollywood, became the action figure, became what he ate, became the whole thing. And it's kind of weird. It's a weird story, man. It's a weird story.
That's awesome, though. There's that kind of just like, again, nuts, because like, I get, look, it's me. It's me.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys remember Grandizer, but there was a character in Japanese animation called Grandizer, and he had this ship, and inside he had a Zord, and the Zord would come shooting out the ship, and he'd fight these creatures, and he was an alien from another planet, and he's this the struggling, dark, gloomy character, but yet when he is needed, he jumps out. His name is Orion Quest, and he runs and jumps off a cliff. Orion Quest, and like Guyver, this costume forms all around him, and he lands in his ship and gets inside, and he'll say, hand beams and spin sasa and double sickle boomerang, and he's doing all this stuff. And again, my whole world, you are what you eat, man. You just literally are. And Grandizer was Bandai.
So
crazy.
cool. I'm gonna have to find it. I'm gonna have to find that, because I want to. Just from what you've explained, I want to.
You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it.
I'm so excited. I'm not gonna lie. My missus will probably hate me at the end.
I looked at his costume and I'm like, I became Grandizer, man. He's got a shield. I mean, it's crazy. He's got the Green Ranger shield and a Red Ranger costume.
It's awesome.
It's nuts, man.
That is
awesome.
So cool. But you have worked on some insane movies and TV shows, man. You've been on Spy Hard with Leslie Nielsen, one of my favorite films ever. I love that man so much. Angel, my girlfriend's favorite TV show, Station 19, Chuck, and the greatest TV series of all time, which is 24. Right?
24. We gotta love Kiefer Sutherland, man. 24 is awesome.
Eric, man.
And I got to do a bunch of episodes on that show, man.
Yeah? How many were you on?
That is a good question. I couldn't tell you that number, but a bunch.
It's like, I mean, I want to know everything about it. So we were lucky enough to speak to James Morrison, who played Bill Buchanan in the show. It's just 24 is literally my whole family, and we used to get together every single Sunday in the UK. It was on at 9 p.m. on a British. It moved to Sky eventually, but then we used to get together, watch it for an hour, then we'd all leave again. It's like proper family time. That's how I remember that show so much. But how did you get involved in 24?
A friend of mine who I was on a TV series called a stunt coordinator. I was on a TV series back in the day called Martial Law.
Yes.
Jackie Chan's big brother, Sammo Hung, and Sammo was the star of that show. And so the coordinator from that show was on 24. And so he picked up the phone and said, "Hey, are you available to come on down and play with us?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah." Kiefer Sutherland, yeah. I grew up watching his dad, Donald Sutherland. Love that guy, and it's right up my alley. I'm regularly being cast on at that point for Cop and for FBI, CIA, or with Jennifer Garner and SD6, the secret undercover CIA versions, and Black Ops and all that jazz.
So awesome. I love it. Just going back to a show you mentioned earlier on, in '96, you're working on WMAC Masters. You had a really bad accident, from what I was gonna, which could have ended a whole lot worse for you. What on earth happened?
That it's funny. People think they understand, but the short version is that 1992 Olympic gold medalist I talked about. People put their own fights together, and that evening he didn't really have his choreography down. And I was like, dude, don't worry. He was like really stressed now. And I was like, look, don't worry. You're going to throw this kick and I'm going to do this really cool move. And it'll look great. Don't worry about it, man. It's late. It's, 3, 4, 5 in the morning. And everybody's just super exhausted. And as a young man, one of the things I always wanted to do is my dream of being in Hollywood was always, I wanted working with me to always be fun, exciting, and just a constant, experience of creativity where different artists are coming together and just bringing their talent and art to whatever we're working on, and we're having fun, man. And so he wasn't having fun, so I wanted to make him feel better. And so he went to throw this kick and I went to do this flip in the air, and he goes to do, and then I start to spin and I take the fall. And during rehearsals it went great, and then suddenly the guy behind the camera at the time said, I'm seeing the pad. It's not looking so good. Let's try this other pad. And they brought out something we hadn't rehearsed on. And unfortunately, that piece of equipment, that pad, was one of those non-skid pads. And so the wardrobe grabbed on real tight to that surface while I was spinning, stopped the one portion of my body, and then the rest kept tweaking. And so, yeah, there was a big loud snap and a pop and a crack. And then I sounded like Bill Bixby turning into the Hulk. And you hear me scream. You hear me scream. I say something like, "I think I've broke my knee." and then they roll me over, and I sit there, and my feet are like this, and all of a sudden my foot goes, and I go, "I didn't do that." And then I go, "Wait, I can't do that. I can't turn my hip and open it so far that the side of my foot lays on the ground." And so I get taken to the hospital March 14th at 5:34 in the morning in Florida. And they end up having to put a rod in my leg, and Olympus. And so the 92 gold medalists and a character plays Tsunami on the show, they're there. And one of them's holding my leg and the other one's holding my hand. And the doctor goes, "We're going to drill a rod through the skin, through the bone, and out the other side to stabilize you, because your femur is now like this, and we need to put it in alignment." And they do it they can't numb the bone. So the moment before, this is a really funny, gruesome story. The moment before, there's a little kid next door and he's crying. And they go, "Hey, Billy, guess what? There's a Power Ranger next to you." "Really? There's a power." And then they go, that's like 5 minutes beforehand. Now he comes in to drill me, and I'm like trying to get ready, and I'm sitting there, and he starts to go, "Okay, we're getting ready now, Mr. Betts. If you move that leg and I slip, we're gonna have to start again. So don't move, okay? Here we go." And I go, come on, bring it, man." And he starts drilling, and I'm like, "I don't care." Ah! Meanwhile, Billy next door is probably traumatized to this day. The Power Ranger is like, "You son of a bitch." And then I remember the doctor goes, Mr. Betts." I go, "What?" He goes, "We're done." I go, "Thank God." I bet Billy to this day is about 45 and in therapy still.
Oh, poor Billy.
I was speaking Latin. I was a mess, man. I was a mess. Yeah, I ended up developing a huge blood clot. Doctor sat me down, my mom down. Speaking of my mom, doc set my mother down, set the production down, and said I had an 85% chance of dying. I developed a huge blood clot, and yeah, it was. I said my goodbyes, and they went in and cleaned it all out, and I came out and spent the next 3 years in physical therapy, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week, plus for the next 3 years, getting hardware removed and all sorts of stuff. It was a life-changing experience.
And you still do it now.
How about that? How about that?
And you are a true inspiration, Eric, I have to say. Because that would have put anybody off. That would have made me go, "No, sorry, no, not for me."
Definitely put.
I heard a great thing. I don't even know where I heard it, but something about all the mistakes you make. What makes an inspiration and something great is all the pile of mistakes and bad choices. You happen to be standing on top of them now instead of under them. And that's what it feels like. It's like I tell my son, you know what a genius is, or when someone's an expert at something, you know what they are? If you could see what it took for them to learn, you'd see their body covered in bruises and breaks and scars. They made all the wrong choices, and now they know what choices not to make. That's how you become the best. You got to give yourself permission to make all the bad choices. And once you do, it almost becomes fun. You start realizing, don't go there. Hey, there's a clown behind the corner with a baseball bat ready to bet. Remember that scar? Yeah, you got that from the clown around the corner. Yeah, don't go over the, you just know what not to do. And you start to find a way to not see it as something to be afraid of, but something to laugh at. Because it's like, oh my God, what funny thing's going to happen to me around this corner?
I mean, were there any stunts that have happened since now, and you've gone, do you know what? I don't really fancy, or have you just gone all in on everything?
No, that's funny you asked that question because that happened, unfortunately, too late in life. that, that happened to me in 2016. I did this movie called Fate of the Furious or the Fast and Furious. Oh, yeah. And in this movie, there's a Lamborghini driving on the ice, and a submarine randomly comes through the ice and shoots a torpedo like they do often. And it puts a hole in the ice, and the Lamborghini falls in it. And my character, Ludacris, Chris Bridges, shoots a harpoon at the Lamborghini door and tells my character to hold on to the door as the car's going under. 3, 2, 1. Ludacris turns he's driving a tank. And he turns the tank and starts going in the opposite direction. And the tank rips the door off. I'm holding onto the door. So now it's me under the water in Iceland on a 4-degree day in 28-degree water. 3, 2, 1. I'm lifted out of the water, carrying the door, 8.5 feet into the air, 15 feet across, down to the ground. If you take an egg and you drop it, that's basically what happened to me. My shoulder fully ripped, my bicep fully ripped, the door guillotined, my right knee, my left ankle severely sprained, and all I could move was my left hand to go, "Hi guys, I'm okay." And once I landed, I remember thinking, I'm an idiot. As soon as I hit the ground, I was like, how old do you think you are? This is stupid. That was stupid. So yeah.
This vision you lying on that door just going, I thought these films are about fast cars, and that was it.
Yep. Got dragged around 55 miles an hour on that door. Yep.
Like I said, Eric, true inspiration. I mean, who comes up with that idea and goes, what I want you to do, right, is there's going to be a harpoon shot at this door. You're going to grab hold of that door. I'm going to send you into the air, and you're going to land on the car door. This is a great idea. It'll be fine. Don't worry about it, Eric.
That's the second unit director and the stunt coordinator, and they make that decision. And fortunately, there was a longtime incredible stuntman who's part of a stunt family, the Eppers, and Rich Epper said was one of the riggers. They basically put up the truss and kind of set up the ratchets, and which are these machines that will, you dial in how much the person weighs and how far you want them to go, and they do all the math and stuff. And so Richard said, listen, if you put him at the height, they wanted me 3 feet higher is what he told me. And he said, Eric, if you were 3 feet higher, I told them I will walk off the show if you put him that high. That's 11.5 feet. They said he'll break everything. I will walk off your show. And so I am so grateful to him. And I said, thank you, man. And he goes, you can thank me later, but the truth is you're still going to get hurt. He literally said that to my face. And I was like, I was thinking, I don't care. I'm going to figure this out. I can beat this. The man's been in the business longer than I am. He knew exactly what he was talking about. Well, his sister was Linda Carter's stunt double for Wonder Woman.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah. Wonder Woman's his sister. That's funny.
That's amazing.
All my friends are the super friends. That's funny.
I love it.
They thought they were going to put you 3 foot higher. Like, are they insane?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. When you think about the fact that I had a rotator cuff tear, 98%, bicep tear, completely torn off, the door guillotined, the Murcielago door guillotined my right knee, sprained that, and a severe sprain to my left ankle. If all that happened 3 feet lower, what would have happened even higher?
Yeah,
man, I'd have been done.
Yeah, they'd be like, "Is that my spine?"
Right. So you thank God for the veterans in this business, and they fight to keep you safe, and I will be passing that blessing down to the next generation.
It just makes you wonder what happened in the past for them to know that 3 foot high would not end well.
Exactly. I'll tell you what, man, a lot of these guys, especially from his era, I've heard so many stories on Dukes of Hazzard. Dukes of Hazzard is like every guy who was inside the car, the General Lee, all these stunt guys broke their backs as soon as the thing landed. They started learning how to do bungees and springs in the chair and pulling the chair back further away from the steering wheel. And you start learning all kinds of different things. They changed everything. So those guys, it's like arriving at an island and having a machete in your hand and a gigantic leafy jungle versus somebody else arriving and there's, a path laid out, there's tiki lamps, there's a freaking coconut with an umbrella, and somebody goes, oh, this way to your villa. We had to chop our way through and create that path. And those guys are definitely not just the old school veterans, but they're Hollywood. There is no Hollywood without them. There's just no
Absolutely.
Hollywood without those guys, man.
Sorry, Jimmy.
I was going to say, I made reference into the intro I did it earlier to HFK, Hollywood Kung Fu. This is a style that you created, is that right?
That's correct.
So how would you describe HKF for those unaware?
I would describe it as the art of fighting without fighting.
I like that.
You have to realize that Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, while on a boat going to an island to fight in Enter the Dragon, some guy's bullying a bunch of other guys on the boat, and he's a lot taller and he's trying to show his cool moves, and so he comes up to Bruce and he starts throwing back fists and trying to get him to react. And Bruce Lee says, wait, well, you want to fight? I'll fight you. And all right, so then he goes, well, what's your style? And he says, it's the art of fighting without fighting. And so he goes, wait, if we're gonna fight, don't we need more room? And hey, let's take that boat down there and we'll take it and go over to this island. And so the guy gets on the boat and he unties it and lets it go out. And now he doesn't have to fight the guy and he lets the guy go. And so film fighting came from that moment right there and then. And it's the idea that two people who are engaged in the dance, if you will, it's actually, choreography is like a dance, but it is it's the forbidden dance. Film fighting, spirit fingers. Film fighting, I would describe film fighting as unspoken dialogue. It's amazing how much, you hear the FBI say, when we look up to the left, we're thinking, when we look up to the right, we're lying. There's all these nuances that you do, and that communication is 70% or 60% or whatever percentage it is non-spoken. It's body language. And so really good film fighters versus, there's two types of stuntmen. There's the daredevil, and then there's the calculated stunt man. That person is not just going for it, as Nike would say. That person has weighed and looking at the situation and has determined where the danger lies and what the restrictions will be, and how far or how big and small they need to go to accomplish the goal safely and consistently, because you may end up doing this one thing 28 times. And so that's a big deal, man. Like, you might have got lucky and got it done once as the daredevil, but 28 times is no longer luck. That's calculations, that's skill. And you have to have those things locked and loaded and ready to go. So that's how Hollywood film fighting or Hollywood Kung Fu is ultimately when you take what you know, apply it to what you don't for a stronger sense of familiarity. You're recognizing how the other person's moving. You're listening to what they're saying as they move. And you're recognizing the camera sees two-dimensionally, not three. And what that means is the camera cannot tell depth perception. And so if the camera's over my right shoulder here, and I pretend to swing and throw my fist right across your face, as long as this imaginary string going from the camera lens to the subject that I'm actually hitting, as long as my fist crosses that line, it doesn't matter if I cross it this close or this far away. As long as I cross, it's still a hit, and everyone gets happy. And so you start learning. I teach people, I want you to fight. When you're doing film fights, I want you to fight like Star Trek. I want you to fight the force field around a person's body and give them 1 foot of a force field around their body, so that if the actor moves forward accidentally, you're always fighting the force shield. You're not fighting the actor, you're fighting the force shield. And now you've got leeway to not punch him in the face.
I can
As
only
much as
imagine
we
the
want
amount
to.
of accidents when people are first learning this.
Yeah, yeah. A good story for you. Here's a funny one. I don't know if you guys know this. My better half doubled Sarah Michelle Gellar for Buffy and Scarlett Johansson for The Island with Ewan McGregor and so on and so forth. And so she's been in Westworld. She's been in a bunch of stuff. Nominated Best Stunt Woman of the Year for 2011 by all our peers and stuff. And so when she was fighting on Buffy, she is a Irish, Scottish, German, Swedish redhead. And so she's fighting this girl, and this actress, the character's name is Clarice, I believe. This actress got screwed up in the choreography a little bit, and a lot of it, and punched her square in her forehead between her eyes. She got a big, Melissa got a big knot in her head, and apparently it just started dripping down like she got black eyes. It was a long day at work. You know, your girls had a long day at work, so you're trying to be the nice, cool guy. Usually I get a bath ready for her when she's working. You know what it's like to be in pain. You know what you wish you get. So, you know, you get the bath oils, you set it all up. It's real sweet. She likes candles. You got the candles there, maybe a glass of wine. Yeah, I mean, you're really putting in the time, right? This time I didn't do all that. So I thought, you know what I'm going to do? Let's just take her out to eat so she doesn't have to go back house and wait for food or make it herself. We'll just grab something. We'll sit down and just grab something. You can relax a little bit because I'm sure you're tired. What you don't think about is two things. Thing one, you're a black man. Thing two, she's got black eyes. And so the waitress comes over. Oh my God, honey, can I take your order? And she takes her order, and then she goes like this, what do you want? And I remember thinking, why is she talking? Oh, no, I didn't do that. And so, you know, those are things, learn from Erik Betts. Those are things you need to think about when you start off in the business and you're dating someone in the business. Be careful how you just, you know, try to go out and wine and dine the girl, because you might forget, you know, people might think you're beating her up. It's funny, man. It's funny. Never occurred to me, because that's what we deal with all the time. We come home with bruises. It's part of the career, but you don't remember, like, no one else knows what you do. You know? Duh.
That was so awkward.
So yeah, I didn't get my food, just for the record, because I figured she'd put in some special sauce.
Oh.
So I was good. I was like, I'll just drink water, thank you. She was so pissed at me.
I can't even begin to imagine, like, especially with that waitress thinking, I'm surprised she didn't go back and like call somebody. Do you know what I mean? Or
right? Exactly, and that really could have. And who's gonna believe me then? I mean, my God.
Yeah, crazy. Do you think the stunts these days are getting a bit too out of hand now? Do you think the writers are going, this would be great, and then you're going, hang on, I can't blow myself up. What do you mean?
So I love that question more than anything. I think anyone's ever asked, actually, to be honest with you. And here's why. You are 150% right. Where things are going right now and how productions. I'm thinking about. Do I want to tiptoe around this, or do I just want to hit it on the damn head? So I'm going to hit it on the head. Here's the bottom line. I'm just going to give it to you. I used to be the chairman for a task force that was about ensuring fair and equitable hiring practices within the stunt community. Also, the co-chairman for the National Stunt Committee for the country. And so, I'm 55. I'll be 56 soon. And what I'm telling you is, in my day, a stunt coordinator was about protecting me. Their job is they work for production, but they're there to ensure my safety. That has changed. And in my opinion, stunt coordinators now work to ensure the safety of the production. And they're making sure that production doesn't spend too much, because, you know, God forbid, that person who's working and giving their life and limb and ultimately giving the comfort of their retirement, they're selling that. That's what it is ultimately. As a stunt person, you're selling your comfort. You're selling, are you going to be able to walk? Are you going to be able to pick up your grandkids? Are you going to be like, you're selling that literally. And so when someone's not fighting for your safety, let alone the fact that you're also selling the potential of you not living, like stunt people are the only department in the entire film industry who actually do die on really horrible occasions. You don't hear that in hair and makeup. You don't hear that in wardrobe. That's not happening to these departments, and they're being given Academy Awards. And yet there is no obvious film and action in any way, shape, or form without that stunt department. And yet you're not recognizing the science behind what they're doing. You're not acknowledging them for their contributions. And so as a result, that community is feeling like they need to do more to be recognized. And it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild. The productions are going, we're going to abuse you. It's the Cinderella effect. You're going to stay on your hands and knees and scrub the floor while we go to the ball, the Oscars. And one day, the stunt community will finally get to slip their foot into that beautiful slipper and be acknowledged for who they are and take their rightful place by the prince's side. But until then, unfortunately, the stakes are getting so high and so ridiculous that, like that 3 foot higher thing I just described of the gag in Fast 8, more and more people you're going to hear are going to get hurt because everyone's trying to outdo everyone else. No different than YouTube and parkour when you see someone with, a band around their head and a GoPro, and they show themselves jumping from building to building and they're 15 stories above with no airbag below them simply for likes and views. It's getting so crazy. There's no accountability. There's no responsibility. There's no recognizing that you are you're opening the door for someone to die. And we're hearing more and more people, especially influencers, who are doing things recklessly where they're trying to get that excitement. Like that's what their brand is. My brand is danger, man. And so someone else is going, oh, I want to beat his channel, or I want to do what he's doing. And the same thing's happening on film. So it's getting unnecessarily dangerous. A lot of times you're also getting productions going, hey, I don't want to pay this stunt coordinator who's established with all these great credits because they're charging this much. Hey, this new person who's just got 3 or 4 years under their belt, this new person is willing to do it for this price. Well, they're not qualified to do it. Yeah. You got a cheaper price, and the problem is now that you have a cheaper price, you also have somebody who's not qualified to tell us accurately how something should be done, and now more lives once again are being risked. And so it's a huge pet peeve of mine.
No, I can imagine. And then, as you were saying at the very beginning, when you said like, if you're getting an ooh out of the audience, you're doing it correctly, but it's like, but you've done that then you need to go to the next level because obviously they've seen that already. They've not, what haven't they seen before? Oh, what I want you to do is go to space, get out of the rocket, run around the rocket and come back in. Like, well, that's ridiculous. But obviously...
And as crazy as that sounds, you're 100% right, man. You're 100% right. You're spot on.
And you can guarantee Tom Cruise is doing that in the next Mission Impossible movie. You know that.
Yes. Yes. And they're going to bring him back because as soon as he steps out, he's going to freeze. And then he's going to look like, he's going to freeze like, Han Solo and Carbonite. And then they're going to bring him back.
But I think, just say that again, obviously, because obviously stunt coordinators can be younger as well. Because like your generation would be like, well, no, that's ridiculous. Why would I do that? Whereas the younger ones be like, I'll do it. I'll do that. I'll be fired out of a rocket and jump out
for this much.
Yeah, and for nothing. And you are right. You deserve to be acknowledged at the Oscars. You deserve to have your own awards and whatnot because the stuff you guys do is I watched James Bond. That's getting absolutely ridiculous now as well. Like it's just. Yep. But you need you deserve the recognition, Eric. You deserve it. So I stand by you.
It's sad. It's sad. Thanks, man. It's definitely, there's so many people that I grew up watching, and had the gift, the blessing, of finding out. Oh my God! Like I grew up watching you, man, and I'm sitting here working with you. For me, that was a guy named Fred Waugh who has passed on. Fred Waugh was the 1970s Spider-Man live action. He was in the Spider-Man costume. So when I'm suddenly working for this guy, screw the actor, I'm working with the man who was in the costume. I'm working with the man who climbed up the building. I'm working with the man who swung from building to building. I'm working with this. This is the hero I grew up in my childhood dreaming of being. And here we are, our circles have intertwined in that one spot in time. And so, even with, like I said, with Fred Watt, I remember going, "Hey, Fred," as I was walking away, and he goes, "Yeah." And then I throw a backflip with a half twist, and I land in a Spider-Man pose. And he goes, "Oh my God, did you see that? Yo, he's the real Spider-Man. He's the real." And I brought back a friend of mine, a director friend of mine, Isaac Florentine, had one of the stunt Spider-Man costumes, and he gave it to me. And I put it in a bag, and I brought it with me to the set. And he goes, "Get out of here." He goes, "I've got that in my house. How'd you get it?" And it was, just so cool, man. So cool. So cool. That is the real blessing, though. We're really wanting to acknowledge all of the people who came before you, to be able to say, if I were to ever win an Academy Award for stunts in any capacity, at the end of the day, this isn't my award. This is for everybody. I happen to be holding it, but this is for everybody who sold out and then some and did not get the recognition they deserve. The people who laid that ground, the people who had that machete and chopped that path and made it so I could get a little bit in there before it was time for me to start chopping. It's a big deal, man. It's a big deal.
And you just segued very beautifully to my next question, whether you knew you were going to or not. It was great, because I was going to say, before we start wrapping up, I read that you were one of Sam Raimi's choices for acting for Spider-Man, but your shoulders were too large. Is that right?
Yeah. That's like, that's one of those little spots you still have a little bit of an issue with.
I'm just like, what an utterly ridiculous reason.
So here's what happened. At a time where I was pretty broke, I created I basically shot a video trying to explain. The way that the production company explained it was that they were going to look for a new face to be Spider-Man. And so I thought, oh my God, this is it. This is it. The circles, this is it. The stars have opened and the heavens are open, and this is it, man. And so I spent $1,000 on a demo, and I shot all sorts of footage, and I had did a whole bunch of rendering at a time where technology didn't allow you to render quickly. And so, we're talking 2001, basically. So I shot some footage, put it all together. I think I actually even posted it on YouTube for people to check out. And so I went on a cayenne pepper diet. That's half a lemon and squeezed in an 8-ounce fluid glass, water, grade B maple syrup, and a pinch of cayenne pepper. I didn't do the cayenne pepper part. Drank that for 6 days. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. I lost 12 pounds in 6 days just for this job, because Tobey Maguire at the time was 5'7" and 155 pounds. Spider-Man in costume could be 5'9" and up to 175 pounds. I was right in the wheelhouse. I said, cool, let's do it. I end up in the room after sending out these demo tapes of mine to everybody. I sent a demo tape. I sent a letter. I have the letters in my house on the wall. The letter basically said, I sent one to Stan Lee, and the letter to Stan Lee said, "Hi, Mr. Lee. It's an honor to just get a chance to talk to you like this. I know you created Spider-Man in 1963. He was released in 62, Fantasy Comics, but I said 63. But what you don't know is he was born in 67. Hi, my name's Erik Betts, and I want to be your." And I just did this whole spiel, and I was flexing hard, man. I was giving everything I got, and I got to deliver that. I went to a Goodwill, and in the Goodwill store was a jacket, a FedEx jacket. So I put the jacket on. I got my letter. I got my packet. I went right into Stan Lee's Marvel Studios office. It was on Ventura Boulevard in Encino at the time. Knocked on the door, said, "I have a delivery for Mr. Lee. I don't need you to sign," and walked away. So I knew the guy got it. And I had previously been on a TV show with Stan Lee. He had called Who Wants to Be a Superhero? And I introduced a character that I had created on that show, and we talked. And that's when later on I found out that Stan was one of the first people who tried to sell Power Rangers. He thought it was going to be a hit. And so a lot of people don't know Stan Lee actually bought the rights to Power Rangers originally, and he was the original person in America to try to sell it. And so Yeah, so I'm sitting in a room now. There's 7 of us. One of them is Tobey Maguire. We all stripped down to our underwear and face the wall. It was very much like Shawshank Redemption. so so we're facing the wall. Sam Raimi and Ackleson, the costume designer's name that's in my brain. Ackleson is standing behind us, and I hear, and remind you, I sent my video to Sam Raimi and to Ackleson, like to everybody. I wanted to make sure everyone knew I want to be in this room. And so I'm now in the room, and we all turn around. We're wearing our the spandex underwear that comes down to your mid thigh. We're all in our drawers basically, and we're facing the wall, and everyone's standing there, and I'm just standing there, and I'm standing next to Toby, and I look over at Toby, and that's a really weird way to meet somebody in your underwear. So I'm looking at him, and he's like, "Yo, what's up?" And so I hear behind me, so you see how all these guys are built like this? They have smaller shoulders. Yeah, this guy, the costume has muscles in it. He would look like the Thing if we put it on him. He goes, we don't need muscle suit for him. You would just put the suit on. You'd put the fabric on him. He's already got the muscles. It's not going to work on him. So I was the only person that they got rid of.
No.
And they kept the other guys. And I looked at Toby, and Toby was like, "Man, I'm sorry, man." He's like, "Dude, you looked perfect." And so I was like, "Well, I'm gonna look perfect going to eat right now because I'm starving." So I just went and got some food. And I then later on found out something that was really amazing, man. Every one of the guys broke something major. Everyone broke a femur. Somebody else broke a shoulder. Someone else dislocated. The tibia fibula injuries. Just everyone was riddled with injuries. And I thought, sometimes the blessing is not getting what you want. And so that experience taught me, whenever I say a prayer, it's, Lord, protect me from what I want so I'm available for what I need. And that was it.
That is beautiful.
I'm not gonna lie, there's a small part of me then that thought you were going to go, ha, karma for getting the job that I wanted.
Right? I love it, man. You're right. Seriously, man. Serious. It's amazing the lessons you get, because I wanted that more than life itself. And then you've heard what happened, and you're like, oh my God, thank God I didn't get it. Oh, who needs to go through, 2 hours a day, 6 days a week for 3 years again? Who wants to do that?
Yeah, well,
no,
absolutely. I read that your nickname is the Dalai Drama.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Why?
So, I mean, when you play this back, you'll see the extreme highs and lows of Erik Betts. I am very energetic, and so
I love it.
In Boston, it was referred to as often a drama queen. So that's where the Dalai Lama began. Oh my God, you drama queen, just get out of here. It's that kind of thing. Yeah. Dalai drama.
Sorry to take you back there.
Yep. That's awesome, man.
Oh. Erik, as we're starting to wrap up here, with all the amazing roles and projects you've worked on, what are a few maybe that really stand out to you as like a good day at the office? Maybe some ones we haven't spoken about today.
Sure, absolutely. It's funny. You guys have some great questions, man.
Oh.
That's a great one. I would say, I do have an answer for that. One of the biggest ones that stood out for me, especially in the beginning of my career, which I was beyond blessed to have done, was Family Matters. Urkel. I used to double Urkel, and I don't know for anybody of your listeners who don't know who Urkel is, but he was there's this show where the guy would go, "Did I do that?" Yeah. And he's this nerdy looking guy, and he'd walk around, and so he had this device he created, and when he would go inside, he'd come out as Bruce Lee, and I would come out and play Bruce Lee for him. And there was another guy, Mark Hicks, who originally started doing it, and then I wrapped it up. And so, ironically enough, Jason David Frank did an episode, as well as Walter Jones, of Family Matters. But specifically, Jason David Frank did one, again, where Urkel turned into Bruce Lee. And so that was before I was actually playing the Bruce Lee character, but I thought that was ironic because I had never known that. That show specifically is where I learned from one of the major producers, Fred Fox Jr., he told me that you in your career, this was like when I first began, man. We're talking like 1993 or 4. I mean, it's like really at the very, very beginning. And he said, you want to be on a kid show, you want to make sure it's starring a kid, and you will work Monday through Thursday. You'll rehearse, you'll shoot Fridays in front of a live audience, and you have Saturday and Sundays off to spend with the family. He goes, this is the ideal way to work in this business. He's been, to this day, he's been completely correct. Like, to this day, you get the residuals, you have the benefit of all the experience, and you can do your action, and you have a great and profitable career, but you have a life. He's like, the key is to have a life with your family. And so that always stood out. When I worked with the Family Matters, the cast members, they were so, it's the job you hated leaving. So you get there, they're so warm, they're so friendly, everyone's so professional, everyone's having such a good time. There's so much laughter, there's tears. Every Friday they have a huge celebration. They're so woke to what opportunity they're having as a result of the show having another season, and all the, just everybody there, like they're so grateful for what they have. And so that stood out big time. Another show would be, I suppose the other one would be the fact that I got my big break on outside of Shoot Fighter would be on Michael Keaton's Batman, training Danny DeVito's henchmen, all the clowns, and getting an opportunity to do that and be a part of the Batman franchise that Prince was performing on for the soundtrack. So that, and ironically enough, I can't believe I just said that. Today's April 21st. Prince died on 7 years ago on this day.
7 years already.
Isn't that crazy, man?
Wow.
7 years ago on this day. And so then I got to train. Doing the Batman thing became my new thing. So then I got to train Christian Bale for Batman, the second one, and what else? And then my actor who I double on Westworld, Jeffrey Wright, is now the new Commissioner Gordon for Batman, and so he's signed on for a couple of films. And so I'm hoping, Jeffrey, if you're listening, that he will call his favorite double from Westworld, who plays Bernard, and I will have me play doubling the Commissioner Gordon for the third Batman. Outside of that, I would probably say Avatar was the next biggest and most amazing scene. I didn't get to couple. The big joke is this: I'm the black guy who doubled the blue guy played by the white guy. So Jake Sully's character, in the wheelchair, I got to do some really cool iconic scenes that his character is doing. And so like when he tries to follow Neytiri from leaf to leaf and he's falling, that's me falling, trying to do, I don't know if you've seen the movie, but the gist is he ends up falling through the leaves and crashing on the ground and standing up like, I'm okay. Sute, the chief, is in the middle of the fight. He lands on one of the planes. The soldiers shoot him. He's dying now. He falls out and falls backwards out. That's me falling backwards out. And then the iconic one is Jake Sully running on he flies in on his orange bird and jumps on the general's ship, jumps over a bunker and shoots the guys in the bunker before jumping back on his bird and flying off. The two people he's killing are myself and The Rock's stunt double and cousin, Tunaway. And so it's movies like that. Like that movie I shot for about a year and a half. And I mean that movie was insane. Like it's just, that was insane, man. That was insane. I saw the second. I think it's beautiful as well, but for me it doesn't top. And it's not. I mean, it sounds biased, but because I'm obviously in the first one, but the first one was just beyond beautiful. It was amazing. It was amazing.
It's a spectacle movie, isn't it? It's just beautiful. Yeah. I mean, I don't know how I can add any more questions to this after you tell me that you taught Batman how to fight, because to say that to me, that's blowing my mind. So, so Mr. Stevens, do you have any more questions for our wonderful guest?
I do. I have one thing to say to you, then I have one question for you. I think you should write a book. I think you've had such... Come on, Eric. Come on.
Dude, I have a friend right now. If she heard you say that, she'd probably slap me in the back of my head. I can't even believe you just said that. She's been trying to get me to do this forever, and she keeps going, "You need to do this," and I'm like, "Who's gonna want to?" I mean, every stunt person in Hollywood can tell the same story, and she's like, "You don't understand. You never listen."
You taught Batman how to fight. Yes, you can write a book.
He's like, "You taught Batman how to fight." Here, wait, I'll give you another great Batman Batman thing I did. In 1991 or 92. Oh, 1991. There it is. My grandmother passed away in 91. So in 1991, I was driving around for Halloween as Batman. I have one picture of in a Polaroid. That's how long ago it was. I have a Polaroid of my motorcycle. I had a bat symbol on, book reports used to have this plastic that you cover your book report on, and then you slide this plastic straw down the side, and it comes in different colors. And so I took one of those and laid it over the headlight of my motorcycle and cut out a bat symbol and put it there. And that was when cell phones and cars just came out, so it had a cord to it. And so I connected it and had a guy connect it to my battery in the motorcycle. So at nighttime, there's a cell phone on the side of my motorcycle, and I would be driving around on my motorcycle on the phone. And so and then of course the antenna, if you ever saw the 90s antenna, it wound up like this and came up, and I had that on the windshield, and people were like, "He's got a phone on his bike." And so on Halloween, I dressed up as Batman. If you know anything about, again, this is 1991, if you know anything about the Batman franchise, Batman never had a motorcycle. Batgirl had the motorcycle, or Robin had a motorcycle. Batman never had a motorcycle. So I'm on this motorcycle on Halloween, and I go down by the Man's Chinese Theater in Hollywood. It's bumper to bumper traffic on a Friday night, and I mean bumper to bumper. I'm splitting lanes very slowly, and I mean I'm talking probably 10 to 15 miles an hour at tops. And as I'm going by, there's people are honking on their horn because the cape's flapping by, this guy's going by, he's got the head, and you just hear the horns, and it's pumping me up, man. It's getting me so jazzed. Everyone's like, "Oh my God," it's like they're honking their horns as I'm going by, and I'm like, "This is freaking great." And all of a sudden, a hidden driveway, a car pulls out in front of me, and I skid the wheel, and I'm standing there. Now, remind you, I'm not just in a Batman costume. I found a, what is it? Not a latex, but a silicone, because I'm allergic to latex. It's a silicone mask that covers just your nose, your mouth, your chin, and it goes around your ears. And then I put the mask on so that you wouldn't see me smiling. A, so you wouldn't see me smiling. B, you wouldn't see a black guy. As far as you know, I'm a white guy with a straight face. And it was a perfect expression. So I skid, and I'm looking at this guy, and I drive across the double yellow lines, and I skid, and I'm now facing ongoing traffic at the Man's Chinese Theater. Now all the cameras turn, they're flashing in the middle of the street as I start revving, and people are like, "Yeah!" And all of a sudden I pop a wheelie, and I go down the street against traffic. As I cross the intersection, I see police. They put the lights on and go, "Get him, Batman!" And I'm like, they're even the cops are rooting for me. So I drive a little, I start going a little further. Another cop pulls me over. I'm like, "Oh my God." So I get pulled over, and the cop goes, he comes walking up. I turn the bike off, put the keys, on the tank, and he goes, "Where are you in a rush to?" And I was so in character. I go, "Gotham." "All right, get off the bike, you idiot," And so, and so I get off the bike. But the whole point of the story is that's 1991. Magic Mountain starts a Batman show where they put him on a motorcycle, and I talked to one of the creators, and they told me they saw a guy on a motorcycle, and that's where they got the inspiration. And I was like, "That was me! That was me, man!" I'm like, "Are you kidding? You saw that win? That was me." So I have a bunch of weird, crazy stories like that. Power Rangers. I have letters from producers complaining because I was too muscular inside the Red Ranger costume. I didn't match the actor. I didn't match the Japanese footage. But every year, the Macy's Day Parade, they have him in the air posing with 100 people holding the balloon down. He looks like Superman, and yet he's in this pose that only I ever was allowed to throw because we had one helmet at the time, and the concern was if you let the helmet hit the ground, then the show's over because they couldn't fix the helmet. And so there you go. There's a bunch of crazy stories like that.
And you say,
Wow.
a book. Like,
Yeah.
I know.
Dude, you've been in some unbelievable movies. You've been in some unbelievable TV series. You've done so much. You know,
Thanks,
I don't know
man.
why you wouldn't. You've had so far. You've had one hell of a career, like absolutely unbelievable. And you've been in some scary situations, obviously, like I said with Fast 8. But you know, like I said, I'm going to stand the fight with you, man. Like, let's get stunt people in the Oscars. Let's get an award for you guys because you've done some insane stuff, and that you put your bodies and your lives on the line all the time.
It's mind-boggling, bro. I mean, honest to God, it's like seriously, I don't even understand it. The only thing I can say that makes any sense is, in all honesty, somebody slept with somebody's wife and they said, screw this, and you're never going to get this ever. You know what I mean? Like, it's personal. This feels personal. It's gotta be something like that. It's gotta be.
The head of the Oscars wife definitely slept with a stunt performer. Yeah,
right?
Gotta be.
Right?
Somebody
slept with a stunt guy or a stunt coordinator, and they were like, "That's it, man. I hate this community."
I have one last question for you, Eric, which is: did you ever think when you first started out, with loving Spider-Man stuff like that, this is where your life would have gone? This is where you'd be today?
Not in a million freaking years. You know what I've learned that's incredible, man? My mother's taught me how to do this, and I don't know if I believed it blindly like a child and never grew up or what, but I do believe this, and this is what I teach people, because when I do a lot of public speaking, I'm trying to get people to understand how I got here. You don't have to know what you're doing, when you're doing, where you're doing, how you're doing, why. You don't have to know. All you have to know is, and it sounds so weird and it's hard to believe. It's so hard to believe, which is one of the biggest components. You have to give yourself permission to dream it so you can believe it to achieve it. It's literally in that order. It's literally in that order. And if you give yourself that permission, it's cake. Everything comes to you. When I moved to California, before I ever came to California, I had a thing for Janet Jackson. Big time. It was out of control. I used to tell my grandmother in 3rd grade, I'm going to marry that woman. I'm going to marry that woman. I end up, when I first moved here, seeing Janet 10 times in a month. It was like I just drew this human being to me, and it was different places all the time. And you start to realize that's the power of energy. It's magnetic. You become a conduit, and you draw these things to you. I'll say it like this. This is the easiest way for anyone and everyone to recognize this. You could buy a new car. You could buy a used car. It doesn't matter. As soon as you get that car, dude, that car is everywhere. Hey, there's that car again. Oh my God. Dude, you're looking for it. You see it. Your brain has now become conscious. Whether you're awake or whether you're asleep, you are drawing, you are looking, you are seeking it out. You're finding any and all opportunities, and you're bringing it to you. And like that lint roller, you're just becoming more and more accumulative until one day someone goes, hey, you look like this, and we need you. And they call you in. And that's how it happens, man. You do not have to know how. You don't have to go, I don't have the money. You don't have to come to California. You can do it right where you are, especially now. You can pick up your cell phone and shoot. And I mean, there's iPhone movies. I mean, you can do anything. It's awesome, man. It's awesome.
Phenomenal.
You are a true inspiration. Like, this has been one of my favorite conversations in the 4 years we've done this. Like,
thanks, man.
I'm not trying to blow smoke up your rear, but like, I tried to keep that as PG as possible. My brain was going, don't say ass, don't say ass.
That's awesome.
But seriously, like, fascinating conversation. I love your energy. I love everything about you. You're truly inspiring. You've really got me fired up at 20 to midnight in the UK, but I can't sleep now. I'm absolutely buzzing. This has been phenomenal, Eric. I've loved every second of it, and I hope that your ass is all right being sat in that car for so long.
Yeah, no, for sure, man.
So I appreciate you, sir.
Absolutely phenomenal. Before we let you go, Eric, any plugs, social medias, websites, anything you want people to go check out?
Yes, I would say. And how's the audio right now?
Delicious.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I would say I've got Erik Betts Media as a website I just kind of launched. I say website, but it's my social media. Just trying to, I'm trying to reach out right now more so for people. I've been doing Power Rangers, obviously, when I first began, and my own show, WMAC Masters, that very few people seem to remember, and so on and so forth. But my reason for really kind of coming out into the whole Power Ranger thing, on top of the fact that it's our 30th anniversary, is just the whole Jason David Frank thing. And so I just really want people, like, I've been teaching gymnastics and martial arts now for 42 years this June. Man, that's crazy. And so
Incredible.
I just can't, I have such a place in my heart, a huge space when it comes to kids. And to just imagine Jason's family and all that they are going through, both what they know, what they don't know, the amount of lives that he's touched from the time he came on the Power Rangers to where he is today. The fact that he had a school back then to the schools he's had, that he's had to recently close. All these things, I just want people to know, when you can look at someone who's doing that much and that positive, Jesus never tapped clothesline, all these things he had, all these lives he changed. It's like Robin Williams, the greatest human being on the planet. And yet these great people are in so much pain. And so if they can be in that much pain, how much is the person next door to us, that guy, that girl, your family members, people we don't realize are struggling, people whose facial expressions or the tone of their voice sounds like they're doing great. Like myself, I believe everybody should have some type of therapy at least once a month minimum, where you get a chance to just kind of purge all the craziness that's going on in the world. And so that's my message. My message is, don't take anyone for granted, man. My mom having surgery today. Anything can happen. I get off the phone, I drop dead tomorrow. My message is, please care about each other, because social media was supposed to bring the world together, and actually it took us apart. No one calls the baby boomer generation to see how they're doing. You see a picture of them smiling, you say they're okay. What you don't know is they're at home fighting COVID. You don't know what's going on. And so the more we become connected, the more we become more symbiotic with each other and with this planet, instead of a parasitic life form. We're parasites on this planet right now. And we have to learn how to find balance with each other, to then find balance with where we live, and to find balance within ourselves. All right, I'm done talking.
You beautiful
I hear myself preaching too much, man.
No, you are a beautiful human. Erik, thank you so much for doing this. It means the absolute world. It really does.
Erik, man,
dude, you guys are awesome, man. You guys are awesome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for creating a platform to get that message out. When you say a message to millions, man, you guys are come on. I mean, think about it yourself. Before you put this out there, it didn't exist. Like, it didn't. And so, sure, there's other podcasts out there, but those other podcasts didn't get me, or those other podcasts didn't get the other people you've had in the 4 years you guys have been doing this. It's you guys are opening doors, man. You're opening doors. You guys are, like I said before, that person who's arrived on the island with a machete, clearing a path. You guys are clearing that path. It's awesome.
I'm putting that clip on my phone for whenever I feel a little bit low. I'm just going to listen to that.
It's cool, man. It's cool. I love it. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, man.
That means
it means a lot.
And also, I really hope your mum's okay. It's all I love. Hope that she's all right and she recovers.
I appreciate it, guys.
Anytime, man. We'll let you know when this is out. I think it's 3 weeks.
That's 3 weeks.
Today. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, pleasure, and we look forward to speaking to you again soon.
Definitely, guys. Definitely, and thank you for letting me take off and come back again.
So you got to do what you got to do, my friend.
Yeah, exactly. So all good. Look after yourself. God bless. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon, my friend. You take care now.
Take it easy, brother.
Cheers, Erik. See you later. Bye.
Bye, guys.
What a glorious, inspirational, hilarious conversation. I love this one so much.
Yeah, this is a great interview. Erik, again, thank you so much, man. It was an honor and a pleasure to get to know you, to get to chat to you. It was great. Hopefully we'll have you on again in the future. Hope you're doing well. And like I said, I hope your mum's doing all right and she's recovering. And we really hope that you guys enjoyed listening to it as much as we did recording it.